Okay, I should start the interview by saying thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I suppose we should start at the very beginning. So, how did your love of cabaret and performing begin?
Wow. So when I was 4 years old,
Hmm.
my school read a kid's book called Willie Goes to the Wedding, and it was about a kid called Willie who snuck his pets to into his sister's wedding,
Mm.
and for some reason, the school decided to put on a stage version of it, and I was selected to be the Willie, to be
Mm.
the mischief maker at the wedding. And ever since then, I've always sort of gravitated towards mischievous
Mm.
live entertainment. And through my teenage years, I would perform in some amateur dramatics and things.
Hmm.
And my school friends were absolute terrors, and
Mm.
myself included. But we were never cruel. It was always just the cheeky,
Mm.
mischievous lot. And somehow I ended up uh, doing a performance art course in Glasgow at the
Oh.
Royal Scottish Academy. I thought it was just going to be new plays, but it was performance art, like
Mm.
contemporary work, which I loved, and so I sort of like mishmashed that together with my general
Mm.
love of mischief, and I ended up working for a street theatre company called Mischief
Oh.
Lava
Mm.
in Glasgow, and then that I sort of stumbled into uh, a show called Blue Man Group, and
Oh.
was a Blue Man for the past 20 years.
Wow, I feel like that's going to be a whole different conversation on its own. I have done my research, bro. I was not aware of that. That is fantastic. But obviously, online you are you're billed as a multi-discipline performer, so there's lots
Right.
of different things you do. So how did you find out about these different sort of elements of cabaret and sort of being on stage?
I mean, through actually very much through Blue Man,
Mm.
um, the the character of the Blue Man, it tends to attract performers from all walks
Mm.
of life. So it exposed me to all different
Oh.
kinds of performance and variety that I didn't know existed through the talented people that I got to work with.
Mm.
And then I mean, I had no idea that show existed when I
Mm.
auditioned for it. So when I
Wow.
was like, wait, this can be a show?
Mm.
Wow. So like you can make play a show.
Hmm.
The essence of play, and whatever is fun to do as a kid or as an adult, and expand upon it, and allow your wildest dreams to just throw them on stage. And through that, I started to discover and Cirque du Soleil
Mm.
and Spiegel World and all of these larger sort of like, I guess at this point, corporate
Mm.
circus acts. And then I I was like, well, where did that come from? And discovered, then peeled away the
Mm.
layers and found the street theater versions and the where it all started. And I've just honestly, and more recently, the past 2 or 3 years, have really been leaning into this, like the alternative clowning that is starting to really, I feel like, have a resurgence right now.
Mm. Totally, totally. And obviously going from sort of those big, massive, as you said, corporate clown cabaret sort of shows, what made you then go, right, I want to start my own now. This is where you invented sort of Broken Planet. How did that come to be?
I I had always wanted to create work
Mm.
with Blue Man, and I got a shot at that, and it was great fun.
Hmm.
But there was a little bit of an element of like, don't meet your heroes, or
Mm.
like you get to do it. I did it. It was great, and I was
Hmm.
like, that wasn't what I was looking for. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I need to step away. I need to start my own work.
Mm.
I need to build my own show. And I started scribbling around and throwing around ideas. And at one point, I became I was asking a director friend about funding. You know, you need
Mm.
funding to make theater. How could I go about finding a grant or funding or this or that? And he said probably one of the most useful things to me. He said, "You don't need funding, Callum. You need a roll of duct tape and some good mates,
Mm.
and go to a garage and start mucking around." And he was right.
Mm.
And so I scribbled an idea down, and I had a coffee with another friend, and he then turned and said, "Do that show here in your living room in 2 weeks,
Mm.
and invite 20 friends." And so I put on a show in my living room,
Wow.
and people responded to it, and I was like, "Oh, whoa, I love this."
Mm.
And this idea of I wanted to build something that could always evolve and change,
Hmm.
and could plug and play and take different acts, and I could collaborate with everyone and anything. And so a cabaret and a variety show leans itself to
Mm.
that. You know, you can, and if you make it as weird and as wonderful as you want, the only thing you kind of can't do is have really straightforward things in
Hmm.
it.
Mm.
And so it started in my living room, and then we moved to kind of this abandoned art gallery in Chicago,
Mm.
which was quite special. And the first show we did there, people literally brought their own camping chairs because there were no seats,
Wow.
and we had, you know, the lights were duct
Mm.
taped to the top of a ladder in the corner,
Wow.
and I was operating the sound and the smoke and the everything. And every time we did the show, more artists or audience members came forward and said,
Mm.
"Hey, can I do something? I'd love to give this a shot, or I can do this." And we started to like have a rotating group of friends who would come in and do different bits. And um, we, I brought in a stand-up comedian that I'd seen that I really liked, and she did her piece, and then she stayed and watched the rest of the show.
Mm.
And at the end of the show, she came up to me and said, "I'd like to do this again, but I want to bring my own character to this piece. Like,
Mm.
I want to develop my own character." And she came back the next week or the next month as Lieutenant Love Doctor, Hottie McTottie,
Hmm.
and a whole new wonderful character was born. And it's just been incredible. Like the more I've been open to, or just allowed the universe, I guess, to go like, "Here, what about this?"
Mm.
The more it's brought me in some incredible people and opportunities.
Oh, fantastic. But obviously, I read online that the show itself has a kind of unusual sort of storyline that ties everything together. Um, so where did that sort of come from, and how did you sort of implement that into the show itself?
So I I really the show is basically an injection of hope
Hmm.
disguised as a variety show.
Hmm.
I wanted to um, I wanted people to walk away with a little bit more empathy and a
Hmm.
little bit more open-mindedness to like maybe text someone they'd fallen out with, or talk to someone they hadn't spoken to in a while, and unify people,
Hmm.
and sort of try something against this division. I just more and more I saw division
Hmm.
in the world at any opportunity, whether it's through the phones or social media or all sorts. And I thought, rather than complain about it, do something, or
Hmm.
try and do something about it. And the only thing I know how to do is
Hmm.
make a show.
Hmm.
So that was the sort of impetus of like, well, that's what I want to bring to
Hmm.
life. How could I do that? Well, a cabaret, a variety show would allow us to play with the audience in
Hmm.
any capacity and have all sorts of guests. And the world is divided, so it's cracked, so it's a broken
Hmm.
world, broken planet. So a broken planet show, and who would host the broken planet show? probably the guy who made it,
Mm.
or or a
Yeah.
satirical version of, or whatever. You know, it's certainly it's so God then hosts the show, and it was never meant to be um, a like so satirical that
Hmm.
it was you know taking a swing at
Mm.
religion or not. You know, it was actually more supposed to be like it's a fun character that sort of embodies my own version of what could be the thing that we don't understand.
Mm.
Whatever that is to you and to anyone, you know.
Mm. And I suppose the sort of cabaret style is literally bringing people together because the acts are so different, they're so diverse.
Yes.
They might not potentially cross paths in any other capacity apart from the sort of variety format.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things that we've discovered more and more is when the acts get the opportunity to actually interact on stage and
Hmm.
play, it starts to become
Mm.
more interesting.
Mm.
Like I've seen many different kinds of cabaret shows over the years, which I love, and whether it's a juggler does a thing, and then a comedian comes out, and then a dancer, but then I haven't actually seen many versions where then 20 minutes later those two acts are then on
Mm.
stage having to deal with a new situation and how do
Mm.
they get involved with that, and that's been really fun. We just did a shows um, in Vegas
Wow.
at the Fallout Fringe Festival, and we had a wonderful juggler who um, I couldn't believe how lucky we were that
Mm.
Cyril had decided to hop on board. And after he saw the show one time, he was like, "What else can I do?
Mm.
I want to be like popping it throughout the whole show." So then the next night he was there, but he had a mic. He was following me around the audience. There's a section in the show where I have the audience hold this toy piano while I play it and try and sing a song, and they have to whistle along. But I couldn't carry the microphone, so
Yeah.
suddenly the juggler is now holding the mic for me whilst doing a little bit of juggling and also interacting with the monkey
Mm.
characters and the baby characters, and it's fun. It's play.
Mm. Totally. And obviously bringing those people together, I suppose the question is how do you sort of design a lineup? How do you decide what is in for this time and what could we use at a later date or what would be better suited with these other people? Are those sort of things that go through your head?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm discovering
Mm.
more every time we do it. There's times where I go, I'm not sure if that worked that time.
Hmm.
Maybe we need a more higher energy act to start the show.
Hmm.
Maybe we need um, a more. There's a piece in the middle where um, I play I play guitar and with a loop pedal
Hmm. Wow.
and sort of live score elements of the show. And there's a piece in the middle that's a sort of slow build with many
Hmm.
loops. And I used to sort of not be sure what. There used to be one act that was Mothman
Hmm.
who would usually accompany that, and I would always be like, no one else can, nothing
Hmm.
else works there. It has to be Mothman, and then Mothman couldn't do the show,
Mm.
and we so we were like, well, we just have to try this. And our friend Alana, who is a fantastic hula hooper, um, just did this very slow, beautiful,
Mm.
dark, darkly lit, not necessarily darkly
Yeah.
themed, hula hoop act,
Mm.
and it just it worked. It really
Mm.
worked, and I was like, wow, I would have never. I would have never written that piece and gone, oh, we'll have a
Mm.
person do a hula hoop to that. And it turned into one of my favorite moments in the show. And we'll be doing that again, revisiting it in Edinburgh this year.
Fantastic.
So yeah, a lot of trial and error
Mm.
and discovering and failing and or surprise
Mm. And
success.
obviously on top of sort of creating the show and sort of accompanying the acts. Obviously, you do, as you mentioned, you play God.
Yeah.
So what is it like bringing God in whatever remit that, as you said, means to you on the stage? What has that experience been like for you?
At first, I honestly was a little bit apologetic
Mm,
because I was like, what's wrong with my ego that I
mm.
have to pretend to be God? Like, what's going on there? I'm not naive to the fact that someone's like, oh right, this guy wants to be God, thinks he's God. Um, but over the years of doing it, the character has really changed and evolved, and is still
Mm,
changing and evolving. For the better. Um, it's fascinating to play with the duplicity. Is that the right
yeah,
word? This sort
yeah,
of like
duplicity.
duplicity of this character that loves it, like will stop at nothing to love the audience, but then also be
Mm,
frustrated and angry with them for not for
mm,
ruining his great like his great creation.
mm.
And it turns into this really sort of fun back and forth. I don't know how it happened, but there was one night I was playing with the character and I was like, "Shut up! I love you," and
Mm,
and that slowly turned into his sort of his sort of catchphrase, which is just like which I never would have imagined giving
mm.
God a catchphrase.
It's put on so on a meta level. You are,
Yeah.
you're playing God, but as you created the show, you are kind of the God of the show in a way as well. Sort of, it's your creation around you.
Yeah, a little bit. Um, and there's been times where I'm definitely still open to it to have other performers
Mm,
learn different the
mm,
roles, and maybe one day we'll discover what happens when we separate
mm.
the musician from the host, and if I play and somebody else plays God or vice versa. Um, we've tried it a couple of times,
Mm,
but we never really gave it the chance it
mm,
deserved. Um, so we'll see. Maybe
mm.
I'm definitely open to it, and I think it would be fun. But when I've talked about it, um, I've often been told that part of the fun in watching the show is watching me struggling to try and do everything.
Yeah,
Try and do spin both plates at the same time is sometimes the fun of it.
yeah. I was just gonna say, creator, host, musician, accompanist, like that must be a lot of pressure. As someone who's a non-performer, just being on the stage is a big step, but doing all those things at the same time must be quite stressful.
It it was
Mm,
to be very much so to begin with, and it still is. But you, when I performing in Blue Man,
mm,
there were so many plates to spin
yeah.
whilst doing that character. Some people, would look at it and go like, "Oh, they just stand still and stare at the audience." But there's so many things that we are having to keep track
Mm,
of during that show that it certainly gave me this I don't know high ability
mm,
to keep track of
mm,
multiple things at once. I may have, and then with the God character, I've layered in I now talk, which is a whole new thing, and I'm still learning. Like
mm,
I'm there's times where I'm doing shows and I come off afterwards and I go, you didn't listen to the audience there. You were so busy
mm,
trying to say everything you'd written, you didn't actually
mm,
stop and just exist.
mm,
So it is a challenge, but it's making. I hope it's making me a better
mm.
performer.
Oh, totally. And obviously, the show's gained a lot of traction since that sort of early show in your living room. To obviously, you had an announcement fairly recently that you are heading to the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yes,
So what is it like getting the announcement that you are heading to the world's biggest theatre festival?
it's um, it's wonderful.
Mm,
It's I'm going back to. It's the best way to go home,
Yeah. Mm.
or one of the best ways. It will be out. It'll be the third time the Broken Planet is has gone to the Fringe,
Wow.
and um, each time is a different
Mm.
version of it,
Totally.
and um, it's just so exciting. It's so exciting to be going to the largest
Mm.
arts festival in the world. It's kind of like Disneyland
Mm.
for theater
Yeah.
nerds or something. Like it's just me, including myself. Like
Yeah,
it just
totally.
uh, I we did a I went to a sort of Q&A about Fringe
Mm.
in New York a few weeks ago when there was some artists who were going for the first time and they had questions, and I said at the end, someone said, what's the worst thing, or what's the
Mm.
what would you warn us about, and I said that actually one of the things that I never considered was that once you go, you will always want to go back.
Yeah.
You like, and that's how incredible it is.
Hmm.
So to be bringing a show that I've
Mm.
been a part of creating and built to back to Scotland again,
Mm.
um, is it's incredible. I'm so
Mm.
lucky.
Yeah, I've chatted to a lot of people who are bringing their sort of first shows to the Fringe and things like that. But obviously, returning for the third time, is there added pressure considering you've done it two times before?
I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe, maybe there should be pressure.
Mm.
Um, I
I feel like I've just given you a full like existential
no,
crisis there.
I'm not sure if there's
Mm.
there's a different pressure.
Yeah, totally.
Um, there's a pressure of like, let's. How can the show get better this
Hmm.
year?
Yeah,
I
totally.
always, whenever I get sort of a little, if ever I start to spin out or
Hmm.
think about, oh, you have to get this, and this is your only chance, you have to. I always try and catch myself and go like, okay, what best serves the show?
Mm.
Like what best serves, and what best serves the show is to perform it
Hmm.
in front of new audiences and discover new parts and new things. And
Mm.
so it's um, it's another great
Yeah.
opportunity to do that.
And so, how are you preparing for this year? How are you getting ready?
Well, um, I'm. We were in rehearsals. We had a rehearsal just a few days ago in New York with a couple. I've been working with a director.
Hmm.
Shout out to Dan Playhall. Playhall, I think that's how you say his name. Um, he, which is a first. I
Mm.
haven't actually with the
Oh.
show. We've never really had a director before. It's kind of been me from
Mm.
within, which doesn't isn't super helpful.
Another hat you're wearing.
Yeah. So been working with a new director and um, taking a couple of the characters that I love the
Hmm.
images of, but we don't. They haven't had enough real depth I've found before.
Hmm.
So now we're trying to give them a little bit more character, a bit more
Mm.
like reason and mission. And so we're preparing characters. We're preparing uh, physically and mentally. I'm trying to just
Yeah.
stay in shape
Mm.
and get ready um, and I've been trying to whittle the show down to less props. The
Hmm.
show has a piece called Nerf Karaoke, which
Brilliant.
is uh, which was it just came out of nowhere with the creation of it.
Mm.
We were one day my friend was sweeping the stage up, and he's a good singer, and I was like, and we needed to fill a spot because somebody cancelled, and
Mm.
I was like, what if we just get a bunch of Nerf guns and you sing Danny Boy? And he was like, okay. And it was the most fun we'd had in a long. We were like, this is how this should be in the show.
Hmm.
And so we kind of refined it and refined it and refined it, and now God, uh, in a moment of kind of, well, what else? What else can we do? We've tried this. We've tried this. We're trying to save the world with this. We're trying to save the world with that. It's time for Nerf karaoke, and so we hand out 30, 40 Nerf guns to the audience,
Hmm. Wow.
and uh, God begins singing Danny Boy and starts to reveal different targets on his body. And traveling with
Hmm.
40 Nerf guns has not always been the easiest.
I imagine airport security always has something to say.
I check them. You're not. I
Yeah.
literally last year noticed that they changed the carry on, and there is a sign up now that says you cannot take Nerf guns
Ah.
in your carry
Yeah.
on. So I was like, well, okay, that's definitely getting checked. And we also have a part of the show called that's called slow mo pillow fight, where we have 30 to 40 pillows in the
Hmm.
audience, and there's a cat and dog war that the only way that can be solved is by a slow motion pillow fight, and the entire audience are involved.
Hmm.
And also, again, traveling with 30 to 40 pillows, I'm now
Hmm.
learning. I'm like, okay, then maybe my next show should be a mime piece where, where I have no props because I'm traveling with quite a lot now.
Yeah, fantastic. So we are coming to the end of my questions, but I do have a couple more. Obviously, I know we've talked about the show and where it came from, but how would you describe Broken Planet to someone who's not seen it before?
I quite liked what I said earlier. It's an injection of hope
Hmm.
disguised as as a variety show. It's an interactive, ridiculous, silly, fun time that you will leave feeling a little bit more optimistic about the world.
Hmm. Totally. And
You
if they want to
see,
see it, where can they buy tickets and where can they stay up to date?
they can go to
Hmm.
brokenplanetshow.com, and there's a ticket link there. You can also go to at Broken Planet Show on Instagram,
Hmm.
and there is a link in there, or you can go to Just the Tonic.
Hmm.
We will be performing it from August 20th to 30th
Hmm.
at Just the Tonic, the Big Cave, at 4:30 p.m.
Hmm.
every day, which I'm excited about. We haven't done a show in the afternoon before.
Oh.
I'm hoping we get maybe some of the younger crowd, and I think
Mm.
they'll have fun with it. And you can also get it on Fringe, the
Hmm.
Fringe app and the Fringe website. If you just search for Broken Planet Show,
Hmm.
it'll come up.
Oh, amazing. I'll put all the links in the comments below so people can scroll down and click away. But my final question is, what advice do you have for young performers, young writers, creatives looking to do what you do?
Don't care what other
Hmm.
people think.
Hmm. Yeah.
Go fail.
Hmm.
Go make mistakes. Don't wait for anything. I feel like I was so lucky to do Blue Man for so long, but I feel like I waited
Mm.
probably a little too long to start doing my own thing. If you want to do something, don't wait for somebody else
Yeah.
to let you.
Mm.
Just go
Totally.
do it.
So I started the interview by saying it, but I'll end the same way. Thank you so much for finding the time to sit down and chat with me. Obviously, I'll put all the links in the comments below so people can scroll down and click away. And I obviously wish you the best of luck at this year's Edinburgh Fringe, and I shall speak to you soon.